All of the Sims games are filled with Easter eggs and fantastic details, and the buy catalog is one of them. But have you ever checked them out? And especially the art pieces? They are full of satire and cultural references. Let's dive into it. Hello everyone, my name is Reese and welcome to my channel. Please help my channel grow by liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing. And let's dive into it. And I've included this cute little piece that I always use in my kitchen decor, but I've actually never really looked at the description. It is handle and spout, and you can get this piece for only 2,500 simoleons. The description reads, I'm a little teapot, short and stout, sponsored an artist to create this photorealistic teapot to boost sales of the new tea line. Now found in tea houses and tea shops around the world, the project was a success. Hardly anyone can look at a teapot any longer without thinking of those famous four. And this piece will give you 10 environment points. So, the description is filled with seemingly cuteness and satire based on branding, product placement and marketing through art, especially of commercial advertising. So let's take a look. The backstory here tells us that this photorealistic teapot was commissioned not for artistic value, but as a marketing tool, which I guess references how corporations sponsor or commission art to sell products. So this is a pun on how advertising co-ops aesthetics, which is making you think of a brand, here tea, every time you see an otherwise previously neutral object, the teapot. And then we have the names, which is what really made me giggle. I think this is a gem of this piece, because we have 4 sponsors and their names are one big nursery rhyme reference. Because we have I'm a little, teapot, short, and stout. And well, put them together and you get I'm a little teapot, short and stout, which is a children's rhyme that has a little dance with it and that a lot of people are emotionally attached to because they grew up with it. And I think that this turns this entire painting into one big, clever, corporate exploitation of nostalgia, where even a beloved rhyme becomes branding fodder. Because the line, hardly anyone can look at a teapot any longer without thinking of those famous 4, is exactly that kind of satirical take on how branding infiltrates culture. I mean, think of how Nike owns the swoosh or how McDonald's golden arches trigger instant recognition. This piece references how really successful marketing can hijack universal objects or phrases, turning here the teapot itself into a brand real estate. And there are multiple examples of this. And well, please share the ones you know in the comments. I would love to read them. And I think that another clever contrast here is the photorealism, because it's often associated with technical skill, but sometimes it's also criticized for lacking emotional depth as a genre, because it is often used in like product ads, making it the perfect vehicle for a commissioned art piece, here meant to sell tea. So while the piece has environment 10 points value in the game, it is ultimately a fake masterpiece, admired for looks but rooted in capitalism, which I think is very intentional from the Sims 2 creators' side. So yeah, Handle and Spout is a great satire of corporate sponsored art, product placement and cultural branding, all wrapped up in a clever pun on a nursery rhyme. The Sims 2 creators really spilled the tea here. So I wonder if this piece is a player favorite. So please let me know in the comments if you use this piece in your builds, because I've used it quite a lot, and it's the Spherical Splendor. And you can get this piece for only 225 simoleons. The description reads, "Such sophisticated shapes, simply sumptuous squares, suddenly stop spinning, startling silent snapshot stillness. So strikingly sketched, so sweepingly spread, so spectacularly staged. Some sim seems suspiciously skillful. Surely someone shall say so." And this piece is going to give you 2 environment points. So I think that this painting and its description is a great example of Max's Sims humor, because it's playful and it's over the top and it's poking fun at a few things all at once. So the first thing that I noticed here is the alliteration, the rhyme of letters in the beginning of the words, which here is the relentless S sound. So every word in the description began with an S. And this alliteration is so extreme that it becomes part of the joke, of course. It's self-aware, almost as if the description is saying, "Look, I can sound clever without actually telling you much." I don't think that the painting itself is especially interesting, but the language of the description is a parody on lyrics, rhymes, and what makes poetry. Because alliteration is a basic lyrical trick that's commonly used in poetry, both in good and, less good poetry. And I think that the language here in the description winks at formalist art analysis, because the description is completely focused on the shapes, the composition, the stillness. We have sumptuous squares and snapshot stillness. And in my opinion, it sounds just like words that like modernist or abstract art critic would use about a painting that sometimes cares more about geometry than the actual subject. So I think that the Sims 2 creators here are playing with the relativity of art, because it adds to the discussion of what constitutes art and how we can constitute the quality of art. Because visually here we have the spheres, they are abstract, but not with an especially dynamic composition, and also not with an especially interesting palette. So the piece lacks artistic interest, in my humble opinion, and I think that's part of the joke itself, because the piece gives only 2 environment points, and the description is pretentiously lyrical. So a teenager could have made this piece, which is a brutal jab at the artwork that we choose to decorate our homes with, and again with the relativity of artistic quality. And another detail that I love in this sentence is the "so sweepingly spread, so spectacularly staged." Because again, wow, it's so pretentious that only a teenager could have said something like this. Or maybe a highbrow art criticist if you're into Sims 2 satire. So, the kind of gallery talk that piles on flowery adjectives until you're not even sure about what's being described anymore, this could make sense. And I think that there might also be a subtle nod to photography in this description, because phrases like "suddenly stop spinning" and "snapshot stillness" suggest that something in motion has been frozen, which echoes the famous decisive moment concept in photography, where you capture movement at exactly the right time. So I think that there are quite a few references here, both to photography and also to the static composition of an otherwise abstract and trying to be dynamical piece. And finally, there is a meta detail in the description. Some sim seems suspiciously skillful, as if this level of artistry is almost too good for a sim to have made. Which of course is completing the circle when we consider the lacking artistic quality of this piece. So I think that this piece is a perfect blend of satire, world building, and that cheeky tone that The Sims is famous for. What a treat, right? But that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and stay tuned for other videos. Bye!